quotidien. C'est sur Taïwan.
SonarFeed! Woo!
Sounds like a jolly little picnic group.
Welcome to SonarFeed! Episode 242, a lot of crosses to bear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to be back, boys. Good to be back.
Yeah. It's good to see you, man.
Yeah, man. It's been a minute.
Not only that, but I'm on the same side of the table as you.
Let's go.
Mark,
Right
Mark.
here. Whoa. That's
Tilted down. Tilted down. And a little more. And a little. We're good. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Good. I'm going to start because I'm already talking. Usually this is Tom's thing, but Tom landed his airplane this morning and didn't sleep at all since then, right?
From where?
Went straight to work. Yeah.
The big island of Hawaii, huh?
So I'm Adam.
Basically, earlier, Mark declared no one.
No one feels bad for Tom. AKA Weigel on Twitter. To my left, whatever side that is for you, you can figure it out.
Hugo, a.k.a. Maybe the Seattle, and right across from me.
To my left. Matt Pence, no clever nickname. I was unprepared for that portion of the segment.
Why is my mic off?
No reason.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah. Someone's not listening. Anyways, we're
I'm
good
just
to
going to
go.
go like this for the rest of the show.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, you're running the show tonight.
No, hell no. I ran the show last week.
He's like,
with
we're going to go
Mark
straight
without
to
knowing or
SonarFeed
planning that we were
reads
going to run the
tweets.
show last week.
Anyway, so we're here with Mr. Pence, and we're going to talk about a couple of different things. We have about an hour of his time tonight. So I think during that time, we're going to talk a little bit about what he's doing these days for, well, definitely, are you mostly at the Athletic right now? Or are you doing...
Predominantly.
Okay.
Nice. Like
Welcome back. Welcome back.
A little bit of that,
Thanks.
yeah.
Appreciate
It's
it.
awesome.
Better.
So a
Good.
little bit of that, a little bit of Sounders, obviously. I think there's some rain things we might want to touch on. And then there's some other random stuff that Adam and I dug up on the internet. And if we have time to discuss it, we will.
Nice.
So, I don't know. Let's just dig into the game. So there was this game on Saturday.
Yes, there was.
It was really, really eventful. If
was.
you are a cross person, if you're into crosses,
Yeah.
this was absolutely the game for you.
The peak Sounders.
Jeremiah, among others, had pointed out 45. And he was like, I don't really have this statistic officially, but just peeking around, I think 30 might have been a high number previously. So 45 seems excessive.
Yeah.
It may be desperate. It kind of says what we've all been feeling and thinking in cross form. And again, not to say that it doesn't work, because that stuff does work. You watch games where teams are just like, I'm going to just run up, boot them in, and then you got 3 people in there diving all over the place, scoring goals. So it's not to say it'll never work. But, I don't know, after 28, maybe, rethink your strategy a little.
And it's not working.
Yeah.
What's the definition of insanity?
That's actually not accurate. But
Shut up.
Your headphones right now.
Actually,
Your headphones right now. I'm going to
Yeah.
mansplain insanity to you. Your headphones right now make you look like one of those people on in Empire Strikes Back that help the twin pod planes and like Bespin land and stuff. Yeah. They have this little
yeah.
funny hat thing going on.
Okay.
That's
I'll go
you.
with it. Okay, I'll go with it. I've got that heat map that I was showing you earlier, though. I'm going to go back to what you're talking about with the crosses that I want to pull up.
You want to pull that up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, that's crazy.
So just so Matt can see it.
So now everybody can see it.
So pretty serious heat map, which is basically that the Sounders dominated. What was it? 63% possession or some like insane thing like that. Yeah. It actually went up in the last like 20 minutes. It was at like 60, 61. And I was watching on my phone, and actually that ESPN Plus has beautiful, beautiful footage.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Anyway, just was watching there, and they were pretty good with throwing stats up from time to time. And I was like, wow, okay, we're bringing it. You never know. You can score goals. The goals come from everywhere, whatever. Down a man, you're like, yeah, we got this. Second half team, let's bring it. That didn't happen.
No.
So the heat map basically shows, we were talking about this just before the show, that Sounders were in that kind of final half, final third, and then Greg Stephan basically just controlled all possession for Columbus.
There was,
Yeah, I mean, another crazy stat is that usually when the Sounders are playing well, Ozzie Alonso almost always leads the team in touches.
Right.
Almost always. Some games it's Christian. Some games Nicholas Lodero has the most. Yeah. On Saturday, it was actually Calvin Leardom had the most touches of any player on the team.
Are you serious?
Which is crazy. Even more than Alonso. The outside
I really
back.
like that guy. I mean, if he wants to take throw-ins from anywhere, I'm super down with it. But that's probably not good.
That's not a good sign.
Yeah.
Whenever your outside back is the guy seeing more of the ball. Than
Like maybe if you're down a player and you're up 1-0 and you have a decent outside back who's kind of controlling the tempo, I'm probably okay with that. But no. That's kind of scary.
Hey man, I mean, I was at a family event, so I didn't get to be at the game, but
thanks. It is Zach Stephan. Thanks, Emily.
Nice.
I failed.
I'm probably gonna get in trouble with somebody up above because I was streaming it from church. But I was catching, and even especially after they got the red card, it seemed like we were just getting outplayed. The 15th to the 40th minute, it just seemed like, and that kind of happens, I guess, when teams are down a man, we'll try to focus, but they were, at least to me, on looking at it at church, I was like, man, we are not looking. It looks like we're down a man, not up a man. It was really weird and frustrating, man. They couldn't get anything else besides up flanks or besides.
And that does happen. Sometimes when you go a man up, especially the Sounders, even in the best of times, the last couple of years have struggled to break teams down that really sort of sit in deep, and especially without Lodero. I mean, it almost made it harder for them because it encouraged Columbus to just pack everything that they had into that little area, and the Sounders just had nothing. They had no answer.
So you
for
don't
it
think that Columbus was fearful of, like, the Roldan family and Clint Dempsey? Is that...
Didn't look like it.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy who had somewhat of a success trying to get some penetration in was Ozzy. But he'll get by the first guy and then pass off, but nobody that could strike fear into the defender like, oh shit. Yeah,
And that's none of their games either. I mean, Christian does a lot really, really well.
Right.
Not necessarily a playmaker.
Right.
Alex works really hard, but he's young and not really a playmaker either. Dempsey can be, but he's better whenever he's playing off of someone else. Yeah. So they just didn't have an answer.
It is interesting to see, like, Roldan just cover the field, but when he's doing that in tandem with Lodero, it is so vastly different. It's like they're like alternating figure eights across the field like all the time, and you're like, oh, you have like the offensive player and the destroyer just kind of figuring it out, and they just march their way up and down the field, both forward and backward, and there was just nothing this match. Sorry, I went to go get a drink and I failed. So, anyway.
¿Tienen pickles? No?
What'd you want?
Papas fritas. Un pequeño side.
So, anyway, why don't we dig into some stuff about what you're up to? You want to show what after MLS Cup was that?
Yeah, 2016.
Yeah, it was after? I feel like
Yeah.
it was after. Anywho, it was outside when we were in our string of like 900 consecutive weeks of outside SonarFeed, irrelevant of the weather.
Well, the only reason we're inside is because they're still remodeling the kitchen.
Yeah, the kitchen is literally outside if you haven't been to Berliner in a couple of weeks.
It should be done by this weekend.
And I did tour what will be the kitchen. It's pretty amazing compared to what they had before. from a space perspective. But that's neither here nor there.
This
so
is the
tell us what you've been up
Kitchen
to
Podcast.
the last, year and change.
Yeah, so I was with the Times through the championship run, 2016. Got laid off early 2017. And
Boo.
Do you hold a
worked
grudge?
out all right. But so what that freed me up to do is I just finished a manuscript on a Sounders book. So that's going to be coming out
Oh, snap.
early next year. So a lot of
Did y'all know about this? I didn't know about this.
It's out there, but it's
Oh,
not. They
nice.
still don't have the pre-release page
Yeah,
up or
yeah.
anything. So I'm kind of keeping that a little bit under wraps until that goes up.
Nice.
But so been working on that, freelancing, sort of staying busy that way, and then now Athletic came along, wanted to sort of get into the Seattle market, and I've been writing for them for close to a month here now.
Nice, man.
So tell us about The Athletic, what
Yeah.
it is, where it's at.
Yeah, so it's a sports website startup. It's kind of become this like catch-all for everyone being laid off in the newspaper industry.
Which
over
actually,
the last
like,
couple years.
not for nothing, but the tech crunches, Verges, and whatever of the world on the digital side.
Right.
That's actually been a thing. Like, people
Yeah.
who've worked at Fortune, Forbes, Fast Company, whatever, are all like, screw this, we're going to go start our own thing.
Yep.
For
and
sure.
all end up at places like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it actually started out because ESPN Chicago got shuttered in like 2015. The guys that had been working there were like, oh, let's see what we can do, see if people will pay for our work, if they want to support us in Chicago, started their own little website. Same thing happened in Toronto. A bunch of people got laid off. They're like, oh, we have some friends up there. Let's see if that can work. And it's just slowly kind of grown out from there. And they've actually been able now that they're like actively bringing in people with good jobs that they've
proactively
already
going
had.
for people? Oh, that's
yeah,
great.
And bringing in people that are sort of making the leap from really established outlets. So it's exciting. I think
Oh,
it's
wow.
a really exciting product.
So basically, people are jumping ship to you guys.
It's kind of built that momentum.
Wow.
And
That's great.
it's really cool to be a part of and to kind of see how that all works. So it's
So,
an exciting
like,
project.
the digital, in all the great ways of what digital has to offer, version of what, like, I'd say sporting news and outlets like that in their heyday.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of what they're gunning for, is like
For
kind
sure.
of all things sports.
And they're kind of betting that people, because with newspapers, they've kind of had to have chased the clicks.
Right.
And they had to chase every bit of ad revenue and do what they had to do to survive financially,
Right.
but they're sort of betting that people will pay for really well-reported quality stuff. They don't have ads on the site. It's really clean to read. They're sort of betting that people will help
ads.
subsidize that.
So what does
No
it cost?
ads.
What's it cost for people?
It is $3.99 a month with a link that's on my Twitter.
That's
Nice.
pretty cheap.
That's pretty great.
And it gets you access to everything. I
Yeah.
mean, like, it gets you access to the Seattle site, but also all their soccer
Is
stuff.
that from your pinned
What's that?
tweet has that link? Or-
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it should
gonna
bring
get
up
that
the
out
So
there.
do you
description link.
do you get to do a lot of like investigative type journalism?
Yeah, I mean, it's really up for anything.
That's
They're
great.
sort of like leaving that up. They're hiring a lot of really
Right.
good writers, sort of encouraging people to kind of go about it that
Yeah.
way, and it's been cool.
Could
They're really
you-
giving good people the leeway to do that.
Could you do like some deep dive on how much Nutmeg News pays Tom?
I'll see what I can do. I'll add that to the docket. Got a lot of story ideas in the pipe right now, but we'll
That
add
is
that
not
on.
one of them.
And is
Unmasking
your work
Nutmeg
on
News.
Sounders.
Yes,
Athletic?
predominantly Sounders. I'll be doing some other stuff. They're really ramping up their nationwide soccer coverage, so I'm hoping to do a little bit of that as well. But yeah, pretty much back on the Sounders beat. They allow me to do that, be back out there annoying them every day.
Do they give you a parking pass?
They do, yeah. I got
Excellent.
a parking pass
Good job.
and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do some of the World Cup coverage as well?
What's that?
Are you doing World Cup?
Yeah, I'm
coverage?
hoping to.
Nice.
Yeah, which I am very excited about. Even though
Who are you rooting for this World Cup?
that's a good question. Rooting for. I really like this Moroccan team. Randomly,
That's becoming the hot dark horse,
I know.
man. Everybody's
I like their
pick.
coach. Hervin already kind of led these sort of fairy tale teams before. They got a lot of like creative attackers. They're almost certainly going to get swept out, but hey,
But it's fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of the beauty of if you want to like spin it positively, not having the U.S. there,
Yeah.
frees you up emotionally to kind of get on board with some of these other teams.
Yeah. So, other than obviously Sounders for work, who else do you follow? I feel like I've seen you talk about Turkey.
Probably not Turkey. I don't think.
Turkey. I feel like I've seen you tweet at some point about club teams from Eastern Europe or something.
I'm
Where
sure.
was
I mean, I lived in Ukraine for a little while after graduation.
May have been that.
It was like one of the wildest games I've ever been to. I went to a Dynamo Kiev game.
Oh gosh.
They were playing medalist Kharkiv, who had finished above them they were 2-3 in the league the year before.
Yeah.
Home opener, like the Olympic Stadium. It was great. It was like right before I left Ukraine.
How big is that stadium?
It fits 70. It's actually where the Champions League final is going to be here next month.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like 70,000, probably about like 45 in the house. And it was a scoreless draw, crowd's getting restless. All of a sudden, in like the 85th minute, they're like diehard fan section. They're down below me. I see them down below me. They separate off and they run into each other and start brawling with their own fans in the stadium. And that like
They
kicks
start brawling?
off. Yeah, they were just like throwing down. I have no idea why, like what the purpose of that was.
So it's like the actual cool version of Reddit this week,
yeah.
which we'll talk about later. But
Yeah, so
awesome.
that was a wild experience. And it
That's
like
crazy,
kicked
dude.
off all these minor skirmishes around the stadium. Like somebody was leaving my section. Some guy yells at him in Ukrainian. I speak very little Ukrainian.
You're like, I've got my 9 words.
But he turns and gives the like international sign for like, you're talking to me. Like,
Oh.
comes up, guy says something else, comes up, walks behind me, punches the guy in the face. And I'm like, where am I at right now?
Oh my God, dude, I would have been looking.
So yeah, so maybe it was something related to that. But I do follow the Ukrainian league every once in a while.
So that's probably what it was. I can't recall everybody's teams ever at this
Yeah,
point.
I mean, my
but
adopted team is sort of Portsmouth,
Okay.
the really sad sack team now
Yeah,
in the
you know.
English third tier. Whenever I picked them, they were like sort of actually Harry Redknapp, former Sounder, was their coach. They were kind of the like hot
really?
up and coming team. Made it to the Europa League one year,
wow.
and then they got relegated 4 years in a row.
I mean, that's great. That seems to be a popular thing right now. EPL teams who are just like, oh, we're going to get relegated, and then we're just going to keep getting relegated. See you guys later.
Yeah,
it's
it's tough.
not great, but it is what it is. Is there relegation again, by the way? Is it gone in Liga MX? Is there sort of relegation now?
But it's like a 3-year rolling, I think.
Yeah, that they make up.
Yeah.
They're like, oh,
Unless you're Chivas.
looks like Club America
Unless you're
could get
Chivas.
relegated 20 years from now.
Yeah.
Change the rules.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that as long as Chivas don't get
Yeah. Okay.
That's pretty much what happened, though, wasn't it?
I know,
They were the
yeah.
ones going
Like
to get
3 years
relegated.
ago,
They like
yeah.
created a loophole so that they
Pretty
wouldn't.
much. And I am not. I'll take it.
Dude, I love that Club de Cuervos totally has exploited that whole thing with Querétaro and like, who's it, Jaguares and whatnot. Like, oh, this team got promoted and we got relegated. We'll just buy their like formal club and then change our name to them. And they did this on the show. That's basically like a soap opera with. You got me into it for Mexican slang, frankly. That's how I got into it. But it's so funny to watch that stuff happen.
Highly recommend. Check it out. Club de Cuervos. Not as much as I recommend hitting that link that we just retweeted from Matt. It has that 30% discount.
30%.
30%.
I dropped it in the chat too.
Yeah. Fries?
I'm good. Thank you.
Fries?
Good. Thank you.
Oh no,
Fries at home?
I already had
All right.
some.
Well, I'll have some fries.
I don't know why I
So-
said it like that.
So the Atlantic. I'm sorry, the Atlantic. Jesus.
I do that.
You
I
work
mean,
for
I
the
work
Atlantic?
for them,
Literally
and
all the
and I
time.
still do
I
that
read it.
all the time.
You were working
And
with
I'm
the
like,
Athletic a few minutes ago.
Yeah,
You
I
were.
know.
So the
do you have
Athletic.
on the
looks
new-
so similar.
Anybody else that we might know that's also working for them?
So they're just really ramping up their staff now. I was like their second or third local hire. But so they just added, so Jason Jenks was working at the Seattle Times doing features. He's coming over. He's going to do sort of general features writing for us.
Cool.
Steve Cohen, who was at the PI
Oh,
for a
yeah.
long
Oh,
time,
yeah.
covering Seahawks. He's going to be the overall editor. Michael Sean Duger, who is doing the Seahawks for the PI, is going to be doing the secondary Seahawks stuff for them.
Oh, man.
Wow.
So-
Okay.
So, funny story. I know his dad really well from Bjorn. Him hanging out at the. He's a cool dude. Duger.
Yeah, he's a really-
Hobbs,
really cool guy.
and him. Also, Wazoo. I think he went to Wazoo.
It's just
Yeah.
Somewhere over there. I know
Yeah,
it
I'm
was
pretty
either
sure he
there
was
or
like
Idaho.
he went to Wazoo. I'm pretty sure.
Better.
We could just
Yes.
switch and then Max
that
have
would
a
mess
normal-
up the names.
I like his music
True.
video hype up of the week. I think he does, or was it of the day. I don't know. He's cool. I like his.
Yeah, so he's going to be there, and then they're ramping up their soccer coverage nationally now. Nothing really public yet, but some exciting stuff coming that way.
So breaking news?
No, none of that. Keeping the spoilers there. But yeah, and so they're still hiring people up. I know a lot of people have asked me about rain coverage.
Yeah.
Very passionate fan base, obviously. They got a fun team.
They actually had an amazing game this weekend.
I saw that going on at the same time as Sounders. I'm like, I should have been watching that game instead of this game. It was much more exciting. But so we are going to be...
Things happen repeatedly.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to be adding a full-time contributor that's going to be writing about the rain
awesome.
all the time.
So
that'll be good.
do you, like, what's your take on the Athletic? Do you think it's going to slow and steady, kind of as you're talking about it? They're obviously growing it, going and grabbing people and growing it sort of organically. Do you think that there's kind of a tipping point, though? Like, all of a sudden people are like, well, shit, that's a completely different Seahawks take than maybe I've seen elsewhere, or, 710 doesn't do this, or whoever it is. Do you think that's coming, or do you think it might take a minute to get there?
It's gonna. I feel like the growth has probably been quicker even than they probably thought.
Okay.
I mean, it has really.
Just here or in general?
In general.
In general. Okay.
It's just really taken off.
Is it writer owned and managed, or
I honestly don't know the higher up inner workings of that.
Matt owns all of it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
We're having microphone
I'm not
problems
gonna
today.
touch my notes again.
That's still really cool, man. I'm gonna check your link.
Yeah. Help support writers like me.
Hey, Matt.
Allow me to pay my Seattle rent, which is hard.
Oh my
How's that
God,
working out for you?
dude.
Hey, do you have an opinion about traffic and the Key Arena?
Get me in trouble here.
You can just say no.
I think the Soto idea would have been much better in terms of city infrastructure, just in terms of like moving people around.
And that's my take too.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to build an epic arena. Like, they're going to gut that, and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
You can't go there on a Tuesday for a 15,000 person concert, like at midnight, just like for fun. Open Google Maps and look at that area, and it's all red.
Yeah.
At midnight, and stuff ends at like 10:30.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're thinking. Like, good for the city. Like, I want hockey, I want basketball, I want 40 concerts a season, a year. But like, at expense of what?
Yeah.
And like, unfortunately, like, it's at expense of infrastructure because they're going to focus on making it work. Meanwhile, like, there's literally people I've gotten arguments with. They're like, well, you could just take the 594 up from Tacoma and then rent a Lime bike and ride your bike. And I'm like, have you ever ridden to there ever for fun, let alone like 5 p.m. on a Tuesday when you're going, like, the monorail that they're going to give you free tickets on. But they're gonna kill it on that arena.
Yeah. And again, it's exciting.
Doubt.
I would love to have as many teams here as possible.
Bring it on.
But I really like in Philly, for example, they sort of have clustered all their stadiums in the same area.
It's super cool.
And it seems like a really good idea.
Yeah.
Like, that works out really well there.
You're like, you can go fight with your friends about Pat's or Geno's, and then literally make like 2 turns and be in a parking lot and pick a game to go to.
Yeah.
What obnoxious thing are you doing over there?
Absolutely nothing.
He's like,
everything is normal.
He's like,
everything is normal.
I unplugged the show.
We're good.
I used to work at the Key Arena, right by the Key Arena, at a restaurant that was really basically there for Sonic season. And it was right off First and Denny. Like, when you turn off to go up towards Queen Anne, it was right in the corner. There's, I think, like a Mexican cantina there. It was right across the street. It's now a building, apartment building, but it was really challenging to find street parking. This is 2007, 2006, 2008, like really hard. But I worked there.
Yeah.
I knew all the tricks, where to find. Now the lanes are being reduced. There's less parking, street parking. Like, it's gonna be a mess.
There's a Taylor Shellfish though, and I'm pretty cool with that because you can get oysters and spend like $87.
And there's Dick's right around the corner.
Right? So you could do that. Hit the Safeway up. Anyway, All right, so you have an opinion. We're not going to get you in trouble on that particular topic. Anything else about the Athletic you want people to know?
I just feel like everyone's sort of coming to the collective realization that you have to sort of be willing to pay a little bit.
Super weird.
For the really
Wait,
first
things
stuff.
cost money.
People want to get paid for the work they do?
It's crazy.
Huh.
Yeah.
And it just
Sometimes.
like kind of past the tipping point where I feel like the economics are so skewed right now that it's really hard. I mean, even now, like to be able to do the freelance stuff and the book and all that stuff. I mean, I've been working at a restaurant 2 or 3 nights a week, sometimes 4 or 5, just to like make sure I get all my payments. And
Like I have to pay that Seattle rent.
Yeah, and that is time that I could otherwise spend working on cool stories about the Sounders. So I mean, you're funding that essentially is what you're doing. You're like you're paying for people's time to work on the stories that hopefully people enjoy.
And I think as someone who wrote online for free, like for fun, for years and years and years, and then one day someone was like,
Nutmeg?
pre-Nutmeg news. And then one day had someone go, hey, like I'm starting it's 2005, I was writing about marketing and advertising and things. And I was a founding editor of a site and wrote for a while, and then AOL ultimately bought that company up. And it was this weird thing where I was like doing this for free, and then I was doing 10 exit for lots of money, and then like 2008 came and I was doing 20 exit for like 1/3 as much money, and I was like, this seems like what I was doing for free before, which I liked because I got to decide what I was doing. And there is a quality aspect of it. And frankly, if you want people, especially in our always-on world, like that's a very different place now than it was in 05, 06, 07. Like as much internet as we think we had, no. It was not even in the same neighborhood. Whereas now we've got, obviously, people like yourself, but like Mickey, who's been on the show a ton of times behind us, who's like streaming stuff or taking photos or like essentially breaking stuff at practice because he happens to just love Sounders and be out there in an afternoon and like sees an injury happen or whatever. Like that's the world we live in right now, and like that's not free ultimately, like if you want quality stuff to come out of that. So it doesn't, to me, it's not preachy anymore to say like just get one less Starbucks this month, like it'll be okay. And